to another Junk Journal July embellishments. Apologies for not being able to get the videos out to you any sooner. I've had a bit of a problem uploading the videos. No matter how short they were, it was taking hours. Anyway, let's move on from that. So today I am making, on the 4th of July, I am making some little mini paper clip notebooks. So as you can see there. So let's crack on with what we're going to need. We're going to need some paper clips. Now I'm using 2-inch long paper clips, so I've got some of those. I've got some different papers for making the actual cover itself. I've got some scrap papers to make the inside pages. And I've also got some leftover printables of my own designs that I'm going to use for some of the fussy cutting. But as you can see from these, I use the Tim Holtz little peoples and bits and pieces. But I'm going to have a go at using up some of these. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make the cover. So if we have a look at the paper clips, as you can see, there's this inner curve here, so it can either face that way or it can face that way. So if it faces this way, then it'll clip onto your page in your journal that way, and if we flip it over and have it facing that way, it will clip on that side. Alright, but with this one I actually did it so that it would fit on the top of the page, so it would go that way. Now remember that these aren't actual tutorials, they're just to kind of get you motivated to use up some of your scraps and make some quick and simple projects. So what we need to do with this cover, and again I'm not worried so much about the length because I can chop it down, but it is going to be folded in half, so it needs to be, you know, a reasonable length to be able to make a decent little notebook size. Going back to the paper clip, so you can see it's got this top prong up here. Well, it's this long bar at the bottom that we need to use, and this piece of paper will slip over the top of that, so we need to make sure that it's the right width, and we want it slightly smaller than the actual paper clip itself. So this piece of paper is actually a little bit too long, so I'm just going to chop it down. And again, you can just cut these on your paper trim if you want. Because I'm doing it in my living room so that I can watch TV this afternoon and create at the same time, I'm just sitting at my little desk, creating away. So I'm going to slot it underneath the prong of that middle curve. And slip the paper clip over the top of the paper, and then I'm going to fold that piece of paper in half. And I've now roughly got the size of my little notebook. Just going to slip that off because I now need to use this as a template for cutting out some of my papers. So I've got these 2 bits of paper. I've just trimmed off some of the white edges off it, but they're the right width to sit within that little booklet. So I'm just going to tap them together, and I'm going to just fold them so that they are roughly the right kind of length. It doesn't matter if they're a little bit longer at this stage because I can trim it down. Alright, so that's that. And then I can just trim off that little bit there. I'm going to sit them inside and then using my fancy scalloped edge scissors, I'm just going to cut along the bottom there. And it just gives me a nice bottom edge to the little booklet. So then I'm going to decorate up this front cover. I've already fussy cut a few little bits and pieces out, but you know, look at your sticky labels and look at your Tim Holtz bits and pieces and see what you can play with. So I think I like this, so I hand dyed this piece of book page. So I'm going to rip that up like that. I think that that could go on the bottom there. Let's just audition them. Let's go with the yellow flowers. That could sit down there. That could sit on there. Maybe that butterfly. Could then sit at the top up there, looking as though it's heading towards going to the flowers. Yeah, quite like that. I might have to stick the butterfly on afterwards. You'll see why in a minute, but I can stick those two on. Right, so that needs to be a bit shorter. Okay, and then I think that butterfly can go there. Let's have a look. Yeah, it needs to go a little bit higher. I'll do that butterfly in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to put the pages back in. Where's my paper clip gone? Oh, it's there. There we go. Right. I'll have it going that way. So I want the loose bit at the top and the long bar at the bottom. And then slide them in there. So at the moment everything's loose. There we go. So we've got that bar now is going across that middle bit. So I'm just going to close that up. And then I'm going to get my stapler. I'm going to slide that under there. And then put a staple in. Okay, so that's now holding that in place. That's now not going to come off. And then I can stick my butterfly on. Okay, there you go. So that's all there is to it. And then I've got this little booklet with some papers on the inside that I can then, you know, do some writing on. So all you need is some scraps and some paper clips and either some sticky labels, little peoples, or fussy cuts, and see what you can come up with. Half an hour later and I've got 5 lovely little paperclip notebooks that I can add to my journal pages. So you can see they're quite quick and easy to make. I hope it inspires you to go off and go and have a look at your own scraps and bits and pieces and see what you can turn out from your bits. And it'd be lovely if you shared them on my Facebook page, what you've been making. But yeah, I'm only making 5 because I've got loads of these already made upstairs. So thanks for joining me again today, and I'll see you tomorrow with another little mini make with all my scraps. See you soon. Bye for now. Bye.